Hey survivors, welcome back to the channel, man. Code here. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new survival crafting game Soulmask. You guys know that I went live last night playing it at 8 p.m. CST, and I put in about 5 hours then, and then off stream I put in an additional 5 hours. I'm literally sitting at just on the cusp of 10 hours of playing this game. Now you guys know that I work a 40-hour-a-week job, I'm a husband, and I'm a father, right? So I have a lot of obligations and responsibilities, and my time is very limited. But one thing is for certain, and that is that I have been blown away with the amount of content in the game and quality of life stuff when it comes to checking off the boxes and things that I love inside of survival crafting games here in Soulmask. And simply because of that, I wanted to do a video here just talking about these things that I absolutely love about the game and what really draws me in as a person who loves survival crafting games. I'm telling you guys right now, if you love games like Ark Survival Ascended and Conan Exiles, Soulmask is going to be one that you yourself will also know and love. Alrighty, so then diving right in, we're just going to take this in order of which I discovered them in the game, so you guys can kind of get more of like an authentic experience when you dive into Soulmask for yourself for the very first time and discover these things. So the very first thing that stood out to me that I really loved actually relates to the loot and like filter slash organization system that's actually baked into the core game. If you take a look at all of our storage chests here that are on the back wall in our base, right? If you take a look at all of these, you can notice right off the bat there is a front emblem or a white icon that's on the front and on the tops of these boxes. Well, this directly relates to the items that are inside of that box. Not only does it represent what items are specifically inside that box, but even more so, it will automatically sort out that loot for you that does not belong in that box. Additionally, what this allows us to do is no longer have to drag and drop manually from our inventory, to match like items. You don't have to click and drag individually in there. Instead, what you can actually do is having a full inventory, walk up to the box, hit G on your keyboard, as you can see down here in the bottom for deposit all, and it will naturally only deposit the items that belong in this box from your inventory, which again saves you a ton of time. You can then do this through every single one of your boxes to then dump out your inventory after you come back from an adventure. And this honestly has saved us so much time, man, when it comes to just playing survival crafting games, especially if you are a loot goblin like me. You are collecting anything and everything that you can possibly pick up. You're gonna naturally always have a maxed out inventory of items, and it's just a giant pain to get back to your base and have to sort out all of that stuff manually. I cannot tell you how crazy good this quality of life feature is. I think it's something that we have always wanted to just be baked into the core experience for survival games, and Soulmask just hits the nail right on the head with this mechanic. So now diving into the second thing that really blew me away actually relates to the combat weapon of choice skill class system. And I know that sounds like a mouthful because it is. There's a lot to kind of go over here and summarize for you guys, but essentially you don't really have one individual class in Soulmask. Yeah, yes, you get to pick your style of mask when you first load into the game, and that does kind of dictate your abilities, but in general, a lot of it actually plays out into all of the choices that you pick and choose from. Everything from the skills that you use inside of your mastery, the proficiencies that you choose to level up for your individual character, and third, the weapon of choice. Because all three of these things actually change the way you do everything. Like if you use a different style of weapon, it will have different skill sets, different attacks, different combat styles, and by utilizing that and blending it with your skill proficiencies and mastery skills that you choose to pick and unlock really caters into you building your own unique class. And honestly, this is something I haven't really seen inside of survival crafting games. Majority of the time, survival crafting games have always been focused on their number one thing, obviously survival and crafting. They don't really dabble too deep into any, RPG elements or investment in your individual character. And that is completely not the case here for Soulmask. It does a really good job, in my opinion, blending this, RPG element, invest in your character, mechanic into the survival crafting aspect. And I really love this combination. And I honestly think this is going to be a huge feature and attraction for players, not only just that love survival crafting games like Ark and Conan, but even players that love RPG survival games like Enshrouded and even Valheim. And now with that being said, let's dive into the third thing that I really love about Soulmask that completely caught me off guard as well, and that relates to the NPC enemies that you will find scattered throughout the world. Not only can you acquire these and have them be part of your tribe, but you can also do various tasks with these, including full-on base automation. Yes, you heard that correct, full-on base automation and material automation. If you guys love playing open world, maybe RPG style games, but you don't really care for the grindy aspects where you have to spend hours farming trees or farming stone or, you name it, right? Obviously, I would argue and say that's just part of a survival crafting game. But if you guys don't enjoy that, guess what? Well, Soulmask has an answer for you. They have actually added in the ability to assign tasks to individual NPC tribe mates that you have captured and acquired for your tribe. So to give you an example here, check this out. You can actually open up one of the members that you have now part of your tribe. Again, this is an NPC, not me, but if I open them up, I can actually put specific tools in their inventory, and then I can tell them to do various tasks. But it doesn't stop there. You can actually continue to give them additional tasks. If you check this one out here, obviously at the top, I have them set up to go chop down trees. Well, let's just say that I only want them to chop down trees until their axe breaks, right? Because if their axe breaks, well, then they clearly can't chop down trees. What I can do is I can also throw a pickaxe in their inventory, and I can have a secondary task set up afterwards that states, okay, now after this one, after you have chopped down all the trees in your tool breaks, you could then start collecting stone utilizing the pickaxe, and then that same exact NPC will constantly do those tasks until those tools break. And you can get really extensive with it by just constantly loading up different action styles. Not only that, I can have a third one here that if the first two are, finished and done and they don't have a tool anymore to perform those, the third action, they can simply go back into the base and start working on any of the benches that might need some attention in crafting specific resources. In general, you can do this with all of your NPC tribe mates that you have, and this will constantly keep your base up and running and make sure you have a variety of abundance of resources for you to enjoy when you log on to the game. Gone are the days that you have to constantly spend time grinding out those specific resources. And now if that wasn't enough to convince you how awesome this mechanic is, with them simply being able to automate all of the grindy tasks and maintain the upkeep on your base, that's not even it, man. That is barely literally the tip of the iceberg on what you can do with these tribe mates. You see, as you start to discover these NPCs and convert them to your tribe, you'll start to notice that a lot of them actually have by default a certain set of proficiencies in certain skills. So in order for you to get the maximum use out of them, you want to make sure you're catering into those proficiencies. Some of these NPCs might be really good at chopping down trees, right? At logging, if you will. Well, putting them on that desired skill will allow them to increase, the amount of wood that they're getting from chopping them down, the efficiency and quickness of them being able to chop it, you name it. Not only that, a lot of times they have other skills that correlate to that exact same, skill that they're proficient in. So for instance, you might have a person that's really good at chopping down trees, and they're also really good at carpentry. Therefore, putting them on the carpentry bench allows them to get more yield or, craft things faster, you name it. And so you can even find NPCs out there that are really proficient in just say simply combat. They're really good at, fighting, and that's what they're known for. That's what their proficiency is, combat in specific weapons. Well, giving them those specific weapons and then obviously taking them alongside you on your adventures will aid in building up those skills and turning them into just a really good companion warrior to have alongside you to take down the challenges. But guess what? It doesn't stop there. Yeah, I know, right? How can it go any further? Well, Soulmask has taken it a step further by allowing you as the individual player to leave your character and then actually take control over these NPCs. So in Soulmask, you're honestly not even really playing your individual character, even though you are picking a person and customizing a character at the beginning of the game. You see, you're actually the mask that's on that character, and you can utilize this mask and the skills behind this mask to then take over your other tribe mates, aka these NPCs. So why this is really cool and creative is because this gives you the ability to not only, be really proficient in a specific skill, but it also allows you the ability to make use of some of the, let's say, resistances that, these NPCs can have. So if you're going into an area, for instance, that is you're going to be taking a lot of poison damage, you might have an NPC that has a really high resistance to poisons. Therefore, taking over that NPC and using that NPC to get that job done or tackle that, challenge, it will then obviously aid you because you're going to be taking less damage from that poison. Now, this is just a simple example, but additionally, another example is if you look at this one here, you can take over an NPC that is a much higher level than your base character, for instance, and let's say they have a much higher proficiency in a skilled combat form that you like. So as you can see here, I have this thrall that is really good with dual blades. Well, I love the dual blade mechanic. That's what I've made my main character on. But check this out. My tree actually, or my skill proficiency, maxes out at 50 on my specific character. Well, if I was able to take over this NPC and actually play as this NPC, it also allows me a much higher cap now at 120, for instance, of the skill, the more that I use it, allowing me to do more damage and then obviously to get better at using the dual wield weapons inside of the game. And man, I tell you what, when I first discovered this, my mind was blown. It was completely overwhelming. I honestly didn't even really quite understand it until I started to play around and get more NPCs. The more NPCs I discovered, the more skill proficiencies I discovered, and really just the sheer amount of changing from one NPC to another one and seeing how much it benefits you in certain situations, it is just game changing. And I just cannot believe how this has been the very first game that I have ever seen given the player the ability to do this. And I honestly think this is setting a brand new standard for me personally when I go into playing survival crafting games where I can tame or enthrall NPCs. I mean, this mechanic alone makes a massive difference in your gameplay. And that, my friends, wraps up the 3 really big and unique things here that Soulmask has to offer the survival crafting genre. I really love these 3 things. They took me by storm. I didn't even know that these 3 things were existing inside of this game, and I've never even experienced these things in other survival crafting games, so I'm really excited for you guys to get in here, check it out, and let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything survival games related. Also, don't forget I do have a Discord as well of over 7,000 members for a variety of survival games, so if you're looking to join up any of that, all you got to do is utilize the link down below in the description. But with that being said though, guys, as always, I'll see you on the next one.